Never try to win over people who don't belong in your life. You will lose yourself trying to please them. Unknown. Sigma ladies, let's be real. Some people just can't handle us. Our energy is too sharp, our silence too loud, and our independence too unsettling for those who thrive on control and validation. There's one personality type in particular that never stands a chance against a Sigma female. Not because we seek to destroy them, but because they crumble under the weight of our authenticity. A Sigma woman doesn't need to prove her worth, chase validation, or engage in unnecessary drama. We operate differently. We navigate the world on our own terms, refusing to be confined by societal expectations or superficial power plays. This makes certain personality types deeply uncomfortable. They rely on external control, perception, and manipulation to thrive. But when they cross paths with a Sigma, their strategies fail. Their insecurities get exposed, and their usual tricks become useless. This video will break down exactly who these people are, why they can't handle us, and what makes them collapse under our presence. Pay close attention, because understanding this will help you avoid unnecessary frustration and protect your energy from those who can't stand your strength. But first, Sigma ladies, make sure you're subscribed to the Sigma Lady for more unapologetic content about the power of being you. 1. The Mirage Mindset. All show, no substance. The Mirage mindset is built entirely on perception. These individuals craft an external image that appears strong, confident, and successful, but when you strip away the layers, there's nothing of real value beneath. They rely on smoke and mirrors to gain influence, seeking admiration without possessing the true qualities that deserve it. Sigma females instantly disrupt this illusion. We don't get distracted by the surface. We see through pretenses, cutting straight to the core of a person. This terrifies the Mirage mindset personality because their entire existence is about maintaining a carefully controlled image. When they meet someone who sees them for what they really are, they feel exposed and powerless. Their response? They either try to manipulate us into believing their facade or become defensive, attempting to discredit our insight. But it never works. A Sigma woman doesn't fall for exaggerated claims, performative confidence, or artificial charm. If we sense inconsistency between a person's words and actions, we disengage without a second thought. This is why the Mirage mindset type always crumbles in our presence. Their world is built on illusion, and we don't entertain anything that isn't real. Without an audience to believe in their act, their influence fades. They depend on external admiration to validate their existence, but when they come across a Sigma who sees right through them and refuses to play along, their fragile ego shatters. In the end, these individuals only function in environments where people are easily impressed by appearances. But a Sigma female? We aren't impressed by anything that isn't genuine. That's why this personality type always loses the moment they meet us. 2. The validation vacuum, always thirsty for approval. The validation vacuum personality type is someone who cannot function without external approval. Their entire sense of self-worth is dependent on how others perceive them. They crave constant reassurance, needing people to tell them they are good enough, smart enough, or worthy enough. Without this validation, they begin to feel insignificant and lost. Sigma females, on the other hand, are the complete opposite. We do not seek approval from anyone. Our confidence comes from within, not from how others view us. This is precisely why the validation vacuum personality struggles so much in our presence. They expect everyone to participate in their cycle of seeking and providing validation, but we simply refuse to engage. A validation vacuum will often try to win over a Sigma by fishing for compliments, exaggerating their achievements, or even playing the victim to gain sympathy. But a Sigma doesn't give energy to these tactics. We don't entertain insecurity-based attention-seeking behaviors. If someone constantly needs praise just to feel stable, we see it as emotional dependency, not confidence. This is where the conflict begins. When the validation vacuum realizes they cannot extract the approval they need from a Sigma, they become frustrated. Their usual tactics of gaining admiration don't work, and instead of adjusting, they may start to resent the Sigma for not feeding their ego. They may even try to discredit or undermine a Sigma to regain a sense of superiority. However, no amount of external validation will ever make up for the internal emptiness this personality type feels. They depend on others to define their worth, whereas Sigma females define their own worth. This difference is why the validation vacuum always crumbles when faced with a Sigma. The moment they realize they cannot extract validation from us, they either spiral into insecurity or try to manipulate us into giving them what they need. But neither approach works. We do not entertain emotional dependence, and we certainly don't play into manipulative tactics. Instead, we continue on our path, unbothered and unaffected. In the end, the validation vacuum is powerless against a Sigma because they rely on external affirmation to feel valuable, while we rely on nothing but ourselves. Their world is built on the need to be acknowledged, while our world is built on self-sufficiency. That's why they always break when they come face to face with a Sigma female. 3. The drama architect, chaos as a lifestyle. The drama architect is the type of person who thrives on conflict. They don't just encounter drama, they create it, sustain it, and manipulate it to their advantage. These individuals are experts at twisting narratives, instigating arguments, and stirring up tension wherever they go. Their fuel, emotional reactions from others, they gain a sense of power when they can provoke responses and control the atmosphere around them. Sigma females, however, are immune to these tactics. We operate on logic, not emotional turbulence. We don't react to petty manipulation, and we certainly don't entertain unnecessary conflicts. This makes us the ultimate challenge for a drama architect, because they can't manipulate someone who refuses to play the game. The drama architect will often try different approaches to pull a Sigma into their world of chaos. They may attempt to provoke us by spreading misinformation, creating false conflicts, or baiting us into reacting emotionally. But the moment they realize we won't give them the satisfaction of a response, their power over the situation disappears. One of the biggest reasons why this personality type fails against a Sigma is that their entire strategy depends on engagement. They need people to react, to argue, to feel emotionally invested in the chaos they create. But a Sigma's greatest strength is detachment. We observe, analyze, and then choose to walk away if a situation doesn't serve us. When the drama architect realizes their tactics aren't working, they tend to escalate. They may become more aggressive, more manipulative, or even try to paint themselves as the victim to regain control. But none of these methods affect a Sigma because we see through them instantly. Eventually, the drama architect will either give up and move on to a more reactive target, or they will self-destruct under the weight of their own chaos. The Sigma female never has to actively destroy this personality type. They destroy themselves when they realize their usual manipulation techniques hold no power. The key difference between a Sigma and a drama architect is the source of power. A drama architect draws power from controlling people's emotions, while a Sigma draws power from inner stability and self-control. That's why a Sigma will always outlast them. In the end, the drama architect is left with nothing but the noise they created for themselves. Meanwhile, the Sigma female moves forward, unbothered, unaffected, and, as always, completely in control of her own energy. 4. The alpha imposter, the loud but hollow leader. At first glance, the alpha imposter appears strong, dominant, and in control. They present themselves as natural-born leaders, demanding respect and authority wherever they go. However, beneath the surface, they lack the true qualities of a leader. Their power is not rooted in confidence or wisdom. It's built on intimidation, arrogance, and control. Unlike a true alpha, who earns respect through competence and leadership, the alpha imposter forces dominance through aggression and manipulation. They believe that being the loudest, the most assertive, or the most feared equates to being the most powerful. But Sigma females don't subscribe to that belief. We don't follow people simply because they demand authority. We recognize real leadership when we see it, and the alpha imposter does not have it. The reason the alpha imposter always loses against a Sigma female is simple: we don't submit. While others might fall in line due to fear or societal conditioning, a Sigma refuses to acknowledge a leader who hasn't earned their respect. This is a direct challenge to the alpha imposter's fragile sense of power. They need people to recognize their dominance in order to feel important, but when they encounter a Sigma who remains unimpressed, they feel threatened. To regain control, the alpha imposter will often attempt to discredit or undermine a Sigma. They may challenge us, try to test our limits, or attempt to frame us as rebellious or difficult. However, none of these tactics work because a Sigma female doesn't engage in pointless power struggles. Instead of fighting for dominance, we operate entirely outside of their system. A Sigma female's strength comes from independence, not control over others. We don't need to prove ourselves, assert our power, or seek approval from any hierarchy. This is exactly why the alpha imposter struggles in our presence, because their entire identity is built on external validation, while ours is built on internal confidence. Over time, the alpha imposter will begin to lose control. When their intimidation tactics fail, they resort to desperate measures: more aggression, more manipulation, more attempts to maintain dominance. But in the end, their own insecurities are exposed. Without submission from others, their illusion of power crumbles. The Sigma female doesn't have to challenge the alpha imposter to win against them. We simply refuse to acknowledge their fake authority, and that alone is enough to destroy them. Their control depends on people believing in their dominance, and when we refuse to participate in that illusion, their power vanishes. True strength doesn't need to be loud. True confidence doesn't require dominance. A Sigma female knows this, and that's why the alpha imposter will always fail in our presence. 5. The emotional hijacker, weaponizing feelings. The emotional hijacker is a master at using emotions as weapons. They don't communicate to understand, they communicate to manipulate. Their entire strategy revolves around guilt-tripping, gaslighting, and twisting emotions to control people. Instead of handling conflicts with honesty and maturity, they use psychological tactics to make others feel responsible for their feelings, failures, or problems. Sigma females, however, are immune to this form of manipulation. We don't allow emotions, whether ours or someone else's, to dictate our decisions. We operate from a place of logic, self-awareness, and emotional intelligence. This makes us incredibly difficult targets for the emotional hijacker, who thrives on controlling people through emotional instability. When an emotional hijacker encounters a Sigma, their usual tactics fall flat. They might try to guilt us into doing things their way, subtly suggesting that we're cold or selfish for not catering to their emotional needs. But the reality is, Sigma females are simply clear on their boundaries. We do not take responsibility for emotions that are not ours to carry. This drives the emotional hijacker into frustration because their biggest weapon, emotional manipulation, becomes useless. They may try different approaches, like playing the victim, acting overly dramatic, or making passive-aggressive comments to provoke a reaction. But Sigma females don't give them the satisfaction of engagement. We see the game for what it is and refuse to participate. What ultimately destroys the emotional hijacker is the realization that their tactics have no power over a Sigma. Without the ability to control someone's emotions, they lose their sense of influence. And when they realize that a Sigma will not bend, react, or feel obligated to fix their emotional mess, they often retreat in defeat. In the end, the Sigma female wins simply by remaining emotionally unshaken. While others may fall for the tricks of the emotional hijacker, we maintain control over our own minds, never allowing external manipulation to dictate our actions. 6. The social parasite thrives on others' energy. The social parasite is the type of person who cannot exist without constant attention, validation, and social presence. They aren't comfortable being alone because they define themselves by the people around them. Their entire identity is tied to their ability to maintain social relevance. A Sigma female, on the other hand, thrives in solitude. We don't seek attention, approval, or status through social interactions. We engage with people on our own terms, not because we need them to feel whole. This makes the social parasite deeply uncomfortable in our presence. When a social parasite meets a Sigma, they don't understand how we function. They can't comprehend how someone can be completely fulfilled without external validation. This confusion quickly turns into insecurity. They begin to question their own worth, because for the first time, they are faced with someone who doesn't see relationships as a source of identity. In an attempt to maintain their usual sense of control, the social parasite may try to pull a Sigma into their world. They might invite us into unnecessary social drama, try to make us feel excluded, or attempt to frame us as outsiders. But these strategies never work because a Sigma female doesn't care about fitting in. We don't fear being alone because we find strength in independence. Over time, the social parasite begins to feel powerless in a Sigma's presence. When their usual tactics of social validation don't affect us, they lose their ability to control the dynamic. They realize that without external attention, they have no real sense of identity. Meanwhile, the Sigma continues to thrive, completely unaffected by the need for constant social approval. In the end, the social parasite self-destructs under the weight of their own dependency. And the Sigma? She walks away, stronger and freer than ever. Sigma ladies. The truth is, you don't have to destroy these personalities. They destroy themselves the moment they realize you aren't affected by their games. Your power is in your detachment, your self-sufficiency, and your refusal to entertain anything fake. The stronger you stand in your authenticity, the quicker these personalities fade into irrelevance. So stay sharp, stay unapologetic, and most importantly, stay Sigma. Before you go, hit subscribe to keep sharpening your mindset. Until next time, keep moving in silence and let your presence do the talking.